Joining us now, of course, she is the head coach at Penn State, coming off a 31-win season, and a friend of the show. We've had her on for a little while. It's become our tradition, and she's gladly likes coming on every time, which is a cool thing. Clarisa Crowell joining us here in the circle. Always appreciate you coming on, Coach, under the busy circumstances, but always appreciate you coming on.
Well, I appreciate you, Eric, and yes, you are right. This is our annual tradition, and if we keep winning, we're gonna keep talking. So, um, I appreciate you reaching out and looking forward to speaking with you about this year's squad. So,
No doubt. I always enjoy talking to you. Let's reflect on last year. You won 31 games. I'll never forget watching you that dramatic win in the Big Ten tournament against Michigan, advancing. Turns out you were one of the first four out in the NCAA tournament. I know you're not satisfied with that, but this is part of the building blocks for this program. When you reflect on last year, what comes to mind?
it was an incredible year, and even we talk all the time as a team, as a program about just putting it all out there. And yes, see, we had that dramatic win against Michigan, which was actually the first time we had beaten Michigan in the tournament. So that was huge for us. And then even when you look at that second game against Indiana, we came up on the short end of the stick. But wow, it was an incredible game. And even when I look back, that was actually one of my favorite games, just simply because of how hard our team played. And when people watch Penn State softball, that's what I want them to think about is no matter what, our kids are going to go out there, they're going to play really hard, they're going to be tough, and they're going to be gritty. And even though our season ended a little bit earlier than we would have liked it to, our kids put it all out there. So, as far as last year, just a great group of kids. I had a great coaching staff, and just very thankful for all of those who were a part of that journey last year. And they were a big part. Our program's been doing well, and we graduated actually 10 student athletes last year. So those kids that were a part of that team had been here with us for 3 years. So just can't say enough great things about that group from last year, and happy with how they helped us to elevate our program. And again, just thankful for our time that we had with them in our program.
You mentioned that senior group because they bought into your vision, which, as you know, they didn't have to. That they could have easily said, "Hey, this is not for me." I didn't, but they did, and they helped you get to this program because we've had you on since you took over the program, and you kind of took this program to from where it was to where it is now. And I know you're not satisfied with that, but still, there's been a lot of big steps have been taken in such a short period of time for this program.
Yeah, for me, and it's not a me thing, and I'm not a me kind of person. And to get our program here at Penn State to where we are, it took a lot of people, right? And again, there's so much credit goes to our former student athletes, our former coaches, our former support staff. Those are still with us because it really does take a village, or it takes an army. And I've been fortunate here at Penn State to just have great people who serve our student athletes every single day in every capacity. And that's what it takes to win. It takes the buy-in not only from student athletes, but the buy-in collectively as a coaching staff and as a staff. So just thankful. I just can't say it enough. Just thankful for that group, because they've set us up. They've set this year's team up for success. And I know that this year's team and staff are ready to just build upon what the last couple of years teams have done, and all the teams from the past. So, it's important to me that we always honor all those who have come before us, right, and just continue to build and grow this program. And I feel like I know that we are heading in the right direction.
I mentioned you were one of the first four out. Did you
Yes.
go into that selection show thinking you had a shot to get in? Were you upset? And I'm curious how you use that now for fuel, especially with a returner. Because if I was a returning player, I would be excited and motivated, thinking I was that close to making the NCAA tournament. That would drive me more going into this year if I was returning. Is that the sense you've gotten from your returners this fall?
Yes, 100%. And going back to last year, we did feel like I think there were a lot of emotions that night, right? We felt that we were going to get in. So when we didn't hear our name called, I mean, our kids, they were devastated, right? And That's tough news, especially when you believe that, hey, we were right there. But if you look at the history of our program, every year you're trying to grow and you're trying to get better. So the fact that we were even in that position from the start, we actually watched the selection show together as a team. Uh, we weren't doing that the year before, and most certainly not the year before that, right? So although yes, we were disappointed, I think I always want our student athletes leaving here saying, you know what, I left the program better than when I found it. And I do think that last year's group knew that, you know what, we didn't get to where we wanted to go, but we have set the future teams up for success here at Penn State. So as far as our returners, we have one goal this year, and it's to get to regionals. So our kids this year have been great. I think that the newcomers that we have in the program have been absolutely incredible and bought in from day one. And our kids, our juniors and seniors, and even our sophomores are, hey, this is what we are going to do this year. So yeah, culturally, I feel that this year's team's in a really good spot as far as knowing what our mission and our goal is this year.
I've had many coaches on the show that have told me the toughest thing about being on the bubble on a selection show is not knowing what's going to happen. It's beyond your control. So you, as a coach, though, you have to prepare for if you get in, but also if you don't get in, because you have to address your team no matter what. And that's the hardest thing as a person. How was that for you, from that standpoint of, I got to tell my players this, I'm upset, but I got to kind of pick them up at the same time.
Yeah, it's difficult because the worst feeling as a coach is seeing your kids heartbroken. So for me, I went into that, having a planned speech. I didn't really think I needed anything for if we made it. It was more of how am I gonna break the news to them if it doesn't go our way. But yeah, you never want to give bad news to your kids and to your student athletes, right? So yeah, it was tough, but again, I feel that group afterwards, and probably after a couple of days or weeks, could reflect back on the season and really their careers, and just know that, you know what, it didn't end how we wanted it to end, but I was a part of the rebuild of Penn State softball, which I think in itself is very special.
I remember when you've come on, you said one of the steps was for the players to learn how to win, and that meant how to
Right,
practice, right?
right.
And it starts
Yep,
in the fall. You've told me that in the
yep.
past coming on. Have you seen that now from this fall, from not just the returners, but them passing that on to the new faces?
I tell you, our newcomers are they're a special group from the three transfers that we've brought in, and the five freshmen. And the freshmen on our team, it's a joke, but I think it's kind of true. But they're dogs, right? That's what our kids always say, and that's a good thing, right? Because those five, they work and they grind, and our transfers are the same. So I think everybody on this team is just extremely hungry, and our kids here at Penn State knows that we stay focused on the process, and it starts out on the field. And when we talk about Penn State culture, we talk about being family, we talk about being blue collar, we talk about being tough, but we talk about also being very intentional in everything that we do, and being very intentional with how we practice and how we train. And our kids are bought into that because they know what the ultimate goal is, but they also know that we've got to put the focus on every day going out and being what I like to say 1-0, and winning every day and every practice. So yes, I think we're in a really good spot, and have seen a lot of great things from our team, and we are a very, very new team. I like to say we're like the Baltimore Orioles this year. We got just a bunch of young, talented kids, but just enough great leaders at the top that's going to help us and lead us to just great things this year.
Ooh, I love that comparison there. Who's
Yeah,
the athlete?
I grew up in the DC area, so I am naturally a Nationals and a Baltimore Orioles fan. So, but yes, we're going to be the Baltimore Orioles this year, and we're going to surprise a lot of people. So I'm excited about it. My staff and I are excited about it.
I like that. Okay, I'll get you on the Orioles here at the tail end here. Now I will be, I'm sure the first of a million people that are going to ask you this question between now and February. Heck, you've probably been asked about this already before even I get to ask
I
you, but
probably can tell you the question that you're going to
go
ask
for it.
me.
Go for it. You know
Yeah.
it.
Bailey and Kylie are
Yeah.
not here anymore. So what is Penn State softball going to do?
See, you're a pro at this now. By now at the pod, but rightfully so. It's a compliment to them and
Rightfully
what they've
so.
done.
100%. I have to start with those two. And I mean, incredible careers. And obviously, what Bailey Partial was able to do with her last 2 years here at Penn State was, I mean, she accomplished, I think, everything that you can accomplish as a pitcher, right? From all Big Ten, all region, all American. She's only our third All American here at that we've had in our program. So, and then she was the Penn State Female Student Athlete of the Year her junior year. You know, I mean, she reached almost the highest pinnacle that you can reach in our sports. So, and then Kylie Lingenfelter, you know, I just to see how Kylie finished her career. When you talk about kids finishing, being at their best and at their top, I mean, Kylie Lingenfeld, I mean, she did. And those two together last year, you know, I mean, we were the one of the best pitching staffs in the Big Ten, and overall statistically we were, and those two were obviously a big part of it. So, are we going to miss Kylie and Bailey? 100%. I'm so thankful for our time with them and everything that they've done for the program. But you know, this year I am also very excited about my staff. Yes, it's going to look a little differently, and you know. Ironically, we have as a team, as with my pitching staff, we've actually already addressed this question and preparing our student athletes for that, you know. So but again, rightfully so much respect for those two. But you know, I feel really great about where our pitching staff is this year. We're going to have 4 pitchers, and we're coming off actually a really good fall. And when I look at the statistics, this year's staff, when I just look at one number ERA, and I know that's not everything, but we actually were stronger this fall than we were you know, last fall. And we've got 2 returning pitchers this year. We've got Lydia Spalding, who is our lefty, and we've got Paige Maynard, who's a hard velo thrower and you know, drop ball pitcher. And you know, they're going to get a lot of innings. And we also brought in Maddie Volpe, who's a transfer from Coastal Carolina, and love what Maddie's doing on the mound. She's an up ball pitcher, and that's something that our staff definitely needed, having lost Kylie. You know, she throws the ball up and has a great changeup. And then we've got a freshman that came in, and Bridget Namath, and had an outstanding fall for us. I mean, her ERA was at a 0.25. She had 41 strikeouts in 21 innings, and she gave up 1 earned run, and she threw 2 no-hitters. So you know, she's gonna be, and we brought her here knowing she was gonna be a pretty special player, not only because she's a great pitcher, but she's also equally as good of a hitter. You know, she's a right-handed pitcher and she's a lefty hitter. So to be able to add a strong arm, you know, strong arm on the mound, but then to also add a lefty hitter, I mean, that's huge for us, right? So yeah, yes, Kylie and Bailey are not here, but I feel very good, and I'm very confident in my staff that we have this year, and we're excited to go out there and pitch as a staff, and they know it's going to take all 4 of them for us to be at the level that our staff was at last year. And you know what? They're ready for the challenge. They're hungry. And basically it's, let's go, coach. So we got this. But yeah, excited about my staff this year.
Yeah, because obviously you don't replace those type of players, but that means there's opportunities for that next person to
For
step
sure.
up, and that's part of the motivation in the fall, I would imagine, with
Next
the
man up.
hopes. Yeah.
Yep. Next man up. So we're ready.
Do you envision it being by committee, or do you like to see how it plays out and see if somebody wants to take the ball literally and grab it and have their own role? How do you when you look, break down the pitchers, do you like go by committee and see who it plays out, or do you have it by a design?
Yeah. I think in this day and age with a lot of programs, right? It's a pitch by committee. I think we're starting to see that a little bit more. You're starting to play matchups a little bit more, and you know, certain pitchers just are gonna you know, match up better with certain hitters. So I don't know. I think we'll wait and see. I would love to see a pitcher step up and take the reins, but in this day and age for any team, especially when you're talking conference play and you're playing, you know, you're playing the Northwesterns and the Nebraskas and everybody that the Ohio States. I mean, you can't just beat teams anymore in a 3-game series with one pitcher, right? It does take your entire staff to beat elite hitters. So, but yeah, I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Offensively, you lose some players. Like you mentioned, you got a lot of
Yeah.
new faces.
Yep.
Talk about the offense and some of the players you expect to lead the offense.
Yes. So yes, we lost a lot of great hitters from our lineup from last year, but man, I feel really good about where we are offensively as a team. And Haley Brunson is a transfer that we bought in from Pittsburgh, and she's honestly been incredible for us. She led our offense this past fall. She hit 462, led us in home runs, RBI, and slugging percentage. And Caitlin Morrison, she's a 5th-year senior for us, and also she actually had the best fall that she has ever had here at Penn State, hitting 455. And honestly, she was right behind Haley with home runs, RBI, and slugging. And the one thing that Caitlin did a really good job of this fall is stolen bases. And I have a new hitting coach this year, Coach Adriana Baguetta, and she's really big on our kids being aggressive and running. And I really have loved to see just where our running game is right now. I mean, Caitlin went from 0 stolen bases last fall to 8. But yeah, I think Coach Baguetta is doing a really good job of putting our kids into situations and giving them the opportunities to run. And but we've had Emily Maddock was a great hitter for us. She was a all Big Ten player for us last year. She also had a good fall. And Maddie Gordon. We've had several kids actually from last year's team that were on our team that maybe didn't have as many opportunities. A lot of kids that have stepped up this year. So and we've had some freshmen too that have done well, Brooke Clausewitz and Audra Mendoza. So offensively, I feel really good about where we are. And Gabby Garcia is also somebody, she's going to catch for us this year. We brought her in from Stephen F. Austin, but she led the WAC last year in home runs, right? And was one of the best hitters in that conference. So looking forward to seeing what she's going to help us to do this spring as well. So offensively, I feel like we're in a really good spot, and I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to do this year.
Who is the Adley Rutschman of this team? And what I mean, Adley Rutschman, for those that don't know, he's the star catcher for the Orioles, All-Star, but he's the leader of the Orioles, the captain, if you will. Who is that leader on this team that either leads by example or with their production?
I tell you, I think we have a lot of kids that lead, and they lead in their own right, and that's just part of being our program. It's an expectation that kids lead. But if I had to pick one person, it would definitely be Caitlin Morrison for several reasons. I mean, Caitlin's been a part of this program for 5 years, and you want to talk about a kid that loves our program and is bought in and loves her teammates, and she's kind of our go-to kid. So not only from a morale and a leadership standpoint, but she's going to be one of our starting shortstop, as she was last year. She's been one of our best offensive players. And, so not only is she going to lead by production, but she is just by nature, she's a leader. She's a leader by example. She's a vocal leader. So yes, she would be our go-to kid. But again, we have a lot of our student athletes who are great leaders and do a lot of wonderful things for our team.
You mentioned obviously your addition of Coach Baguetta. Talk about that process of adding her to the staff and your staff in general, and how she fits, and your thinking process as when you're looking for a coach to fit on your staff. What are you looking for?
Yeah, and I have to start with just saying thank you to Coach Jeff Tilka from last year. And he did a fantastic job and really helped me to do this, right? Help me to help me and help our program get to where it is right now. And always will wish him the very best. But yes, when I go out, I think that the biggest thing is making sure that I find somebody who shares the same values as me as a person and as a coach. And the funny story is I've known Coach Baguetta now our entire lives. We grew up in the same area. We actually played travel ball against each other. We were definitely on rival teams. I don't think we became friends until we were both coaches. But she is somebody that I have always, even as a player, as a travel ball player into college, she is somebody that I have always respected because of the person that she is, and, I think she's just the person that she is and the coach that she is and just her work ethic. If you ask anybody in this profession, to ask about Adriana, they're gonna tell you she's one of the hardest working coaches in this business, hands down, right? So, she's extremely smart. She's got just a great mind for her game, and so she really did, when we went into the search, she really did check all the boxes that we were looking for, and she's just been an awesome fit with our coaching staff, with our student athletes, and we talk about getting 1% better, and Coach B is constantly striving for excellence and trying to get better. So, but no, it's been awesome to have her on staff. And we also, our volunteer assistant from last year, Alexis Gallagher, she is also full-time this year, so she is our another assistant, and it's been fantastic to have her on staff. She actually works with me with the pitchers, and I've been a pitching coach for a really, really long, my entire career. But she is so knowledgeable about, she actually has her doctorate in physical therapy. So, when we talk about just movement and creating plans that are going to allow our pitchers to get better. I mean, she just is so good at that. So I've been able to entrust her with a lot of the pitching, which has been great for me because I've been able to kind of take a seat back and sort of just, be able to spend more time with the defense and the hitters. And it's been awesome. So to have those two on full time has been amazing for us this fall. Amazing for me, our staff, and most importantly, our student athletes.
I was gonna say, having extra now full-time assistants, which is obviously that's been a story in the sport of softball and among other sports. Have you noticed the difference?
Oh, it's huge. 100%. Having Coach Lex on staff full time, his I almost think back last year and say, how did we and I do this without her? Because especially from a pitching standpoint, I have given her a lot of duties with that, and she has been wonderful. So yes, I think it's not only made a huge difference for us, it's everybody is probably feeling that way, but most importantly, ultimately it benefits our student athletes, right? And that's always what's first and foremost. So yes, having that fourth paid assistant has been a blessing, to say the least.
Big Ten obviously always evolving.
Yes.
Another year upcoming, and then the future coming with
Yeah.
Washington, UCLA, Oregon. What's your reaction as this college landscape changes across the board here, and the Big Ten gets stronger? Was going to get stronger and stronger.
Right. I mean, we're excited. I mean, you're adding 3 programs that are 3 of the best in the country, right? And I mean, UCLA, I think we might, be the conference next year who has the most national championships, with UCLA coming in Washington, right? So, no, I mean, I have so much respect for those programs and for those 3 coaches, and yeah, we're excited, and obviously, the landscape of college athletics is a lot different, but I think the Big Ten, I think we are moving in the right direction. And I was just looking at our football schedule for next year, right? And to see UCLA coming to play at Beaver Stadium, and our guys going out next year and playing USC, it's just wow, how exciting is that? So I'm excited when we get our schedule to see, where we're gonna go. But yes, it's exciting to be a part of the Big Ten for sure.
Yeah, they got some extra whiteout options now. All of a sudden, potentially there. How will does that impact your non-conference scheduling at all? I know that as a league, you're still figuring out the scheduling model for the conference and everything, but how does that impact your non-conference scheduling moving forward?
Yeah, I think the one big adjustment for us is that, this year we always host a tournament at home, and then we go in Big Ten play. So our schedule was 7 weeks. Next year we're going to move to an 8-week schedule. So it does impact it a little bit, because we're not gonna, we're starting earlier next year. So yeah, and depending on where we have to travel to, I may not take a trip out west just because I know we're going to go out west to play one of those 3. So yes, it definitely has an effect on, non-conference scheduling.
Couple last things before we let you go. You mentioned you're an Orioles fan and a Nats fan. Big
Yes.
year for the Orioles.
Yes.
But are you bitter at the playoff format, how it played out? Because your reward was basically for winning 100 games and the best record in the American League is to face the red hot Texas Rangers, who ended up going to the World Series.
Well, and winning it, right? So I
Yeah.
guess if you're gonna lose to a team, you might as well lose to the World Series champs. But yeah, it was a tough series to watch. But a lot of credit to the Rangers. And actually, Gabby Garcia is she's from the Dallas area, so
Oh,
I congratulated her on her World Series win. And I was at Oklahoma State for 6 years. So when I was out there, I actually cheered a little bit for the Rangers. So I got a little love inside from my days of being a cowgirl at OSU, but yes, it was, you know what, it was a tough end for the Orioles, but I think one of the coolest things for me is just seeing the state of Maryland and Baltimore just revitalized, right, with what the Orioles were doing. So, but great year, and I know that they're going to have some pretty good years to come. So that's exciting, and my Nationals are going to figure it out too. So I'm just focused on the Commanders right now, and we had a good win this past weekend. So,
that's true.
yes, yeah,
Commanders
DMV
head in the
girl
right
here. So.
direction. They're headed in the right direction. I assume you've been to Camden Yards and Nats Park because I've been to both.
Yep, absolutely. I was just actually at Camden Yards this past year, and I always, when I go back home, I make it to at least Camden Yards, or I'm in DC at the Nationals game. So yes, even though I live in Pennsylvania now, I'm a DMV girl by heart. So
Well, you're around a lot of good ballparks. That's what it means. Because PNC Pittsburgh, I've heard great things about. I rave about Camden Yards and Nats Park. I visited my
okay.
sister. I've gone with my niece every in the summer, and I love both of those parks. And I was happy to see Camden Yards with that atmosphere because
It's
that
been a
it's
it's
been
been
a yeah.
a long time coming. But yeah, I have not been to a Pittsburgh Pirates game or a Philadelphia
Well, you got
Phillies
to
game.
cross that
I
off
would,
your list. You got to
yeah,
cross it off.
I got lots of. I got to go watch the Eagle. Like I got a lot to do here while I'm here in Pennsylvania. So, but no, definitely on my bucket list to get to Philly and to get to Pittsburgh. But again, DMV girl by heart, and loyal to my teams, win or lose.
You're a Cal Ripken fan? Is that where I
100%. Yeah, I
figured?
was
Yeah.
watching Cal back in the day. Absolutely. The Iron Man, one of the best to ever play
Oh,
shortstop. Although we can go on and on about the best shortstops in the game, but he was definitely my favorite. So yes, huge Cal Ripken fan.
ooh. All right. I'm making a note. We're gonna bring that up the next time you're on the show. But I'll leave you with this. Obviously, as we wrapped up fall, February will come around. I know, knowing you now, I know you're gonna have a tough schedule, non-conference to get you ready for conference, and then obviously the Big Ten tournament. What's gonna be the keys for this group to accomplish their internal goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's going to take. I think culturally our program is in a really good spot, and what I think it's going to take, because we are a very new team, is we're going to rely heavily on our kids, our leaders on our team that have the experience. I think the experience piece is something that maybe we don't have, like we've had that in the past, right? Because we had a bunch of veterans on the team, but I think it's going to take our kids. Like I said, we're going to rely on the kids at the top, and I know that the buy-ins there, and I think it's going to take us and we talk about, how is our culture when things are going to get hard, but us being able to understand that sometimes there's some learning curves to younger teams, and for us to be able to stay together. We're talking to them about being tough, gritty, no matter what. But I think that's going to be a big part, is because our kids are going to need to experience some hard times together. So but I feel really good and confident in this group, and I do believe that we have the talent. It's kind of like the Orioles, right? They had the talent at the end. That experience piece, I think, played a factor in the postseason. But for us, I want us to learn hard lessons early on so that we are ready for Big Ten play. And how we respond to those hard times, I think, is going to make a huge difference when we enter Big Ten play. So, but they're a fun group. They're exciting. A lot of great personalities, and I just think that, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about our team this year, and I'm excited. So yeah.
I love that comparison to the Orioles because you're right. The Orioles had a young group growing up,
Yep.
and a lot of people wondering, oh, can they compete with the quote big brands, if you will? And
Right.
but they did, and that's kind of what you're doing there at Penn State.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, they won 100 games, so they might have failed a little bit, right? But maybe they didn't fail enough to figure out how to be great. So I'm a huge advocate of failure is necessary for teams to grow. So when we hit those hard times, we're going to get better. And like I said, we're going to be ready for Big Ten play. So excited about this year, Eric, and I really appreciate your time. And I hope to see you at the field one of these days.
Definitely, we'll catch up down the road and talk Sam Howell and the Orioles. But good luck this year,
Right.
Coach, and appreciate you always talking to us.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate it.